I'd imagine you're probably expecting this, and without naming names, but with Newcastle looking like they're getting a striker in, what impact does that potentially have on your own chances of adding to your squad? And in general terms anyway, how likely do you feel you are now to add further signings to your squad before that deadline?
Before I answer that question, I have to ask you from Pat, because I just had an interview with him, what you had for breakfast this morning?
It was a donut it was a donut that I kept from a game I was at the other night, that was all. I was working as a reporter at that point, yeah.
So you came into the Liverpool building
with a donut, yeah.
With a donut from?
From another football club.
Okay.
It's very nice, by the way, you should try it.
Yeah. It's too many calories.
Not the most healthy, but I was in a rush this morning, I woke up late.
So yeah, Newcastle signed, if it's true, and I have no reason not to believe what you are saying, a new number 9. So that's very nice for Eddie, because Anthony Gordon is suspended, and Isaac has not been training with the team a lot. So it's nice for him to have another number 9.
And so, how likely do you feel you are to add to your squad? Whether it's another striker, whether it's a centre-up, whatever.
No, I think I've said after Monday evening that again I could make a substitution that impacted the game. That's what Federico did against Bournemouth. That's what Rio did now against Newcastle. So as always, we try to sign players that can help us. But there's no reason after the first 2 games to complain or to think we need more. But if we can strengthen the squad, then we will always try to do that if it's for the right money and it's the right player. And there are only 3-4 days to go now. So yeah, let's see if we do something, and if we do something, what we can do.
From the players that you're working with this weekend, and obviously it is a big game, what improvement do you feel you need to see that will give you the best chance of maintaining your own 100% record and ending Arsenal's?
No, the most simple answer to that is a lot, because we face a very strong team, and that was already really good last season, and I think I've improved their squad a lot during the summer. So yeah, and if you then look at all the quality they have, but especially one thing that stands out in the season till now, and what stands out in a negative way for us, is that we've conceded, if I include the Bilbao game, 4 set pieces. And of course, as we all know, that's one of their strengths, not the strength, but one of their strengths, because they can play in multiple ways. You can see how well they are managed by Miguel, and they're working for 5 years together, because they can play almost every style there is in football, and that tells you how well managed they are. But one of their strengths is also set pieces, and that is an area where we, if you look at Monday, when we faced Newcastle, we conceded 2, and against Bilbao we conceded 2. It's a part we need to improve, where we, by the way, were really good at last season. So no panicking at all. We also had to defend at Newcastle 350 set pieces, so then only conceding 2 is not even so bad.
Obviously both games against Arsenal finished in 2-2 draws, and I think against top 4 opposition, or the teams that finished in the top 4 last season, you took 11 points from a possible 18. I just wonder, even though it's such an early stage in the season, how important do you feel it is not to lose ground on a potential title rival?
Nah, not so much to do with losing ground, but yeah, it has to do with losing ground, but not that we play Arsenal. So it's more in the beginning of the season. You wanna normally teams don't play their best game unless you keep the same squad completely and you add 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Then you can maybe expect that the team is growing even further. If you look at our situation, we've lost a few, we've added a few, so then it's not starting all the way new again. But I think it's normal that we play even better, not better, but even better in a few months than we do, or in a few weeks than we do now. But in the meantime, you can't lose ground. Not a lot. Although I do think that it's. I would be surprised if there will be a point record this season in the Premier League. I would be surprised if one team gets more than 100 points because of the strength of the league. So you are able to drop once in a while a few points and still be competitive. I think in the end of the season. But the best thing you can do is not drop points at all.
Yeah. Arne, just picking up on what you said there then, do you think that the league is more competitive noticeably this season than last season based on what you just said?
if that's even possible, because it was already so competitive last season. But maybe I'm wrong, but I think in general teams spent more than last season. Sure, and I'm talking about net spend, not talking about what teams spent and forget then what they've sold, but in terms of net spend. But maybe I'm wrong, but last season we didn't do a lot, but I think our competitors didn't do a lot last season as well, and that's completely different this season.
Obviously, it's very early to make.
For the exception of Chelsea last season, maybe, but I think Arsenal, Man City didn't do so many signings last season, so that's the difference between this season.
Obviously, it's very early to be making assessments and judgments and drawing any sort of firm conclusions. And Arsenal have got injuries as well. But what do you see as the key differences that your team will need to be aware of this time against them compared to last year with the new players they've added?
Wow. I think there are a lot of similarities with both teams. So I don't think the playing style of Arsenal changed a lot with the new signings coming in. Maybe they have a different number 9 than they had last season, although Jesus was also a real number 9 but didn't play that much. But I think the one they have now is different to Havertz, for example, or Trossard that played last season in our home game over there. So that is more a false 9, you could say, where I think Gyökeres is more a target man. So that's maybe a small difference where we have to know, and he makes maybe even more runs in behind than the other number 9s did. But in general, I see a lot of similarities between last season and this season with the style of play they have. And I think it's the same with us.
Thank you.
Arne, it's hard to imagine a more sparkling start to his Liverpool career for a striker than Hugo Ekitike. Goals in his first 3 important games. As a finisher, that's fantastic, but at least 2 of the goals, he's been the starting point with the goal against Bournemouth and also against Newcastle. How impressed have you been with him so far, and what are the facets that he has in his game that can see him make even a lot more improvement and add, greater attacking elements to your game?
I think you've already made a big impact, as you said, in our attacking part of our game. So not only scoring goals, but also be part of build-up situations where he was someone that started the attack or was part of us starting attack. I think that is, not talking about a difference, a bit more than last season, where although when Lucio played there, he was also a lot of times part of our build-up. The most simple answer to what he can improve is his match fitness. So I expect him to do even a lot more without the ball than he already does, because he's already working hard. But there we can improve, which is completely normal, because he has to adjust from a different league, from a different playing style. Frankfurt wasn't as pressing as much as they pressed, but not as much as we tried to do. And then coming to a different country, coming to a different league, there's a lot for him to handle. And then if we come back after the international break, it's Champions League games added to that, where he was used to playing, I think, Europa League, which is also a good level, but not as high as Champions League. So there is the main point of improvement, I think. Which is completely normal, because he came a bit later in pre-season. So to adapt to the intensity levels without the ball, I think there are small steps to make for him.
In the league games so far, against Bournemouth and again against Newcastle, where Liverpool at times were really up against it, it's admirable and a real quality to find a way to win under those circumstances. But it's not sustainable, is it, throughout the season, particularly as, against opposition like Arsenal on Sunday. So what's the key to improving the playing strategy where you're going to have more control in games?
Not playing every game at St James's Park. No, I would like to play every single game at Anfield. But against the Bournemouth team, where we had a hard time against last season as well, when we were 3-0 up, they just kept on coming. which now led to a goal, and all of a sudden was a game where they had the chances last season as well. So not conceding set pieces would also help with controlling the game a bit more, because I don't think after half time we had control over the game, but then conceding a set piece, and then the whole stadium felt that there was something to win for them again. So yeah, of course we can improve things, which is normal if you have to. I think it was in the Charity Shield where 5 positions were different than the main starters we had last season, and I think that hasn't changed that much against Bournemouth and also against Newcastle. So it's normal that we can still improve things, but we could, even with the team of last season, improve a lot of things, I can tell you. But I don't think we had any control over the game last season in the first 15 minutes against Newcastle as well. I think we even played worse over there in that first 15 minutes. So you need to compare the right things with each other. You cannot compare the start of last season with the opposition we faced then to the start of this season. That is, although all the teams are very strong, but Newcastle away is, I think everybody agrees on that, one of the most difficult fixtures you can have. And Arsenal at home is not any different to that.
Thank you.
Hi Arne, I wanted to ask you about Florian Wirtz. I felt like Newcastle did a really good job of denying him the ball with their bank of 5 across the midfield. I think he only received 19 passes compared to 34 against Bournemouth. If that situation is repeated perhaps against Arsenal, would you like him to maybe work harder to maybe come deeper to search for the ball, or is the onus more on his teammates to maybe be a bit braver and try and pass through the lines?
No. This is all nothing to do with it. The only answer I can give is what you probably know, because you're quite good in data. Normally you started with data this question, so you should add in this question that there was only 40% ball in play in Newcastle. So then to have a lot of touches is quite difficult. And when the ball was in play, the ball was in the air. So they didn't block anything. The ball was just in the air, and it was duel after duel after duel after duel. Set pieces to defend, set pieces to attack, so there was not much football over the ground. So you were talking about Florian, but I also know that Mo would have loved to touch the ball a little bit more than he did in Newcastle, but he didn't touch the ball. He touched the ball more this time in Newcastle than he did last season, and he did touch the ball more this season against Newcastle, I'm talking about Mo, than he did again in the League Cup. So it's also the opposition you face, the playing style of the other team you face. And I said last season after Plymouth that if we would have been there with the starters, we probably also wouldn't have played a good game, and everybody was looking at me, what are you saying? No, that playing style of every ball long, every set piece thrown into your box is a playing style where it's not so easy to play your best game. And for Florian or for Mo or for Hugo, I don't think Hugo touched the ball a lot. And Cody didn't touch it probably a lot as well. So 40% playing time the last time that happened was 2010. When Stoke City faced Sam Allardyce team.
So obviously those are rare statistics.
Which was that? Was that Bolton? Blackburn.
Obviously those are rare statistics, but are you concerned that maybe some of the teams might try to use that as a way of trying to keep some of your attacking players away from the ball, more direct, keeping the ball in the air?
That's also not the first time that we faced this playing style. This happened last season as well. The difficult thing for us was that although the Newcastle players can play in a completely different style, really good as well, but this style suits them also really well if you look at how tall most of their players are, and the deliveries, the set pieces from Trippier are also high quality. So yeah, that makes it even more difficult. So I'm not sitting here saying that with the starters we would have had it as difficult against Plymouth as we had against Newcastle. But in general, it's a playing style where you constantly have to be ready for every single ball. And but we can do better. It's not only the playing style. We can do better than we did at Newcastle or at Plymouth. But it's not the first time we faced this playing style. Many teams did this playing style last season as well.
Obviously a very physical game against Newcastle. I just wanted to check how the players have been in the intervening days, and whether there are any doubts heading into the Arsenal game fitness-wise that you didn't have before.
No, I don't think so. The positive is that Conor Bradley only had 1 or 2 training sessions before the Newcastle game. He has trained this week, the whole week, still 2 days to go. But and McAllister started training again. So I don't think we had any injury coming out of that game. No. And Virgil is also okay. I think that's the main thing you would maybe question, but he's okay. Yeah.
His goal, and what role do you see him playing for you this season? What do you see as the best way to manage him, and longer term, how far can he go?
Left winger. That's the role I see for him. Or is that not what you mean? No. On a serious note, I think this whole how do you say this? This whole press conference started with also with spending of us, all other clubs in the Premier League, and the nice part of it all is that then in the end, the 16-year-old coming from the academy, partly Chelsea, partly ours, scores the winning goal. So that's also the beauty of football, that although we've spent a lot, sold a lot as well, there's still room. That's also the reason, if we only spent and not sold, then there was probably not room for him. But now there is room for him. Is that a good way to say that? And he can show his qualities, and as things stand now, there's still room for him to show that in the upcoming game as well, because we haven't made any signings, so I think he will be on the bench again, and has a fair chance of coming in if it's needed in the game.
Thank you. Thanks, Arne.
You're welcome.